Oh, days like this. These are far too infrequent in London. Okay. Whew. It is warm out there today, okay. Hey guys, how are you all doing? This feels very like old school me, this type of vlog. It feels really weird filming in Bushy Park as well, which is where I'm filming. I ran a really solid run this morning. I ran a solid 11 miles. It was beautiful. The weather was amazing. It makes all the difference. And I tried to go as easy as I could because I'm trying to up my mileage a little bit. And I don't want to go too crazy. So today was an easy 11 miles. Really enjoyed it. So I thought I would make this video because Comrades is a week away, less than a week away by the time you watch this video. And I've just been super inspired recently by thinking back to 2016, thinking back to 2 years ago where I raced Comrades. And I thought it might be fun for people who are racing this year, but also for you guys who have been following my journey, particularly with the running. I thought it would be fun to re-watch that Comrades video I made, that very rough and uncinematic, if that's a word, video that I made around Comrades. I remember I was running with my G7X. Like, I don't know what possessed me to run with a camera this size when I had a GoPro as well. I ran with both. That was not a good decision. There's also a deer running at me, which is slightly terrifying right now. He's like staring me down. Okay, he's gone. I should probably note Comrades is an 89-kilometer race from Maritzburg to Durban, or from Durban to Maritzburg. It alternates each year. It's probably one of the world's most famous ultra marathons, and it's an absolute privilege to run that race. And every year that I'm not running, so this year and last year, I wish I was. I'm envious of people running because the memories I have from that day are incredible and toughened me up, and it taught me a lot about myself. Okay, let's watch. I did not sleep a wink the night before the race. I don't know if it was nerves or excitement or because I was in a big group of people, but I literally don't think I slept. I remember the alarm went off. Must have been like 3:30 in the morning. And we were the lucky ones because we were staying really close to the start because it was a down run. We started in Maritzburg. And I just remember thinking, I'm so happy that I've had a good solid week of sleep. I don't think there's anyone who has a good night's sleep the night before Comrades, whether it's excitement or nerves or whatever. I'm trying to remember it now, but I think there was so much hype around the race. And it never felt like it was going to happen. And I think the first moment that I really felt like, okay, this is happening, was on that start line when everyone was singing Shosa Losa. That was such a goosebumps moment. Yeah, you felt like you were part of it. You felt like you were in it for the first time, I think, for me. Because I was overseas until a few days before the race. I felt like I was kind of watching from the outside, and it wasn't until that moment when I was standing on the start line I was like, okay, I'm in it, like I'm in Comrades this year. And that was a really cool feeling. And you start in the dark. I remember it was so dark and we're running along and everyone is very packed together to begin with. So I'm kind of just following the guy's feet in front of me, trying to make sure I don't slip up. I just remember thinking to myself, because we were in a group and I wanted to stay with the group for as long as I could. I think that is great advice, is to stay with people you know as much as you can, because you'll help each other through. You're gonna have good parts of the race and you're gonna have bad parts of the race. And it tends to be the case that when you're having a bad part of the race, someone is feeling good and they're able to encourage the rest of the group. And you just help each other through. It's very much a team race. So I remember running along and just thinking, don't lose the red socks, don't lose the red socks. And so I'm following the guy in front of me and I just see these long red socks through the crowd, and that's all I'm going for. You meet people. I met a guy on the plane I'm still friends with now, and you have this bond, so you make friends really quickly because you're very reliant on each other, I think. During those 10 hours or however long it takes you, you're very reliant on each other, so you build up this like bond very quickly, and you're able to chat during the race. It keeps your mind busy, it keeps your mind occupied, so you learn quite a lot about these people. And I guess you're in quite a vulnerable place, or at least I was. Yo, then the sun came up. That was probably the most beautiful sunrise I've ever seen in my life, when the sun rose over those Maritzburg hills. Oh my goodness, the whole sky was orange and you just saw this stream, this waterfall of colors, of jerseys running through the roads. You could see people for miles. The group was so big still at that point. Still had a smile on my face at that point. I think this is coming into halfway. You know what, I felt really good until halfway. To be honest, I felt really good until I got to the 56 kilometer mark, because I'd done that in training. It's the last like 30, 40 kilometers that are the challenging bit, I think, because that's when most people, especially if it's your first Comrades, you're stepping into the unknown and you're stepping past what you know you're physically able to do, and so that's when it becomes mental. Yeah, that's when I started to suffer. But you know what? You use what's around you, and people can be really supportive. If you can like attach yourself to one of the buses, that helps. And even just silly things, like I remember one guy I was running with at the time, he said, okay, we're gonna do 2 minutes of running, 30 seconds of walking. 2 minutes of running, 30 seconds of walking. And it occupies your mind. Your mind is your greatest weakness in a race like this, unless you're mentally strong. So I think that is great advice, is just keep your mind occupied, keep your mind happy. Okay, I remember this road. When it was the top of one of the big hills, I didn't remember all the names of the hills, but I got to the very top of the hills and I was struggling at this point. I was in tears. Like, I think I had about 25, 30 kilometers still to go, and I was in pieces, literally bawling my eyes out. I got very emotional during this race. I think I cried for the second half of the race. But I just remember this lady standing at the top of the hill. There was a big group of them, but I remember this one lady in particular. She was like, "Viva Shoops, Viva Shoops." It's just like, it's the spectators who get you through, and people line that course. I've done a few marathons now, and I have never known support like Comrades. People are there in their dressing gowns from early in the morning. From 5 a.m. in the morning, they're there supporting you, and there's only a few patches where there's no supporters, and you really notice it. They are so awesome. I don't think I could have gotten through without the spectators, and it really feels like the country is coming together around you. Like, people are flocking to the race, and they're building you up as you go. And I think the closer to Durban you get, the more spectators there are, and the more people there are to cheer you on, and people are shouting at you with passion. Like, they believe in you. They don't know who you are, but they believe in you, and they know you can do it, and they'll shout your name, and I'll never forget that. I think that was a massive thing for me. I look so gone. I look like a mess. I remember this when I ran under this bridge. I just remember thinking, you know what, God, like, that's it. I've given every part of myself to this race. Like, I've given it everything, and now it's your turn. Like, you got to take the reins from here, because, you know, I'm a firm believer that you do all you can do, and He'll do all He can do. So I'd given it my all, and I knew I'd given it everything. And it was in that moment where I had a new lease of life. And that does happen throughout the race. After every low, you pick yourself up and it gets better. So I think that's really good advice, is don't fret when you're feeling bad, and don't go crazy when you're feeling good. Just maintain a steady rhythm, because after every low there's a high. You feel better, you get through that low. And I remember looking up, and on the side of one of the buildings there was a Nelson Mandela quote, and it said, a good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. And I just thought, we're running for such a good cause, just got to keep my head strong, and we're nearly there. And then the crowds build again at this point, and then you enter the stadium, and it is just overwhelming. You do a lap of the stadium, and everyone is cheering, and you're cheering each other on. I remember the day after, oh my goodness. Well, even the day of, I arrive at the hotel that night, and I was in pieces. Someone kindly brings my bag up the stairs for me, and I'm standing there at the stairs, and I'm like just frozen. My legs just won't move, and I finally put one leg up, so I'm like, one leg finally makes it over the step, and then I pull the other one up as well. I remember that so fondly. Like, all throughout this week I've just been having those memories, just walking down the promenade, and I think I was obviously limping. It was pretty obvious that I had run Comrades, and someone walks up to me and approaches me, and he says, "Did you finish?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Good." He just walks on. He was in a better state than me. I think most people were. But yeah, you felt part of something so much greater than yourself, and I think that is, for me, the perfect way to summarize my Comrades experience, is that you are part of something so much more. And I just want to wish everyone a huge good luck who are racing next weekend. Trust that you've got so much more than you think you have, and even in those lowest of the lows, know that after every one of those lows there's a high, and you do step out of that low. Use the people around you. Don't forget your Vaseline. I'm 100% going back. I'm not sure which race I'll do, but I think I've got to do the up run now. I've done the down run. But I think just take every moment in. Don't get carried away. And I think maybe I'll just finish on this. When you reach the end of yourself, you realize what you're really capable of, and it's so much more. I reached the end of myself with 30 Ks to go. Something brought me through it, so it's just made me really nostalgic. Run strong and go well.